Hey everyone, it's Karen at Worldschooling Central and welcome to our brand new series, Worldschooling Central Spotlight, where I will interview worldschooling families and ask them to share their experiences with you. To kick us off, I'm going to share our story, why we got started, how we got started, and what the last 4.5 years have been like for my family as we've traveled to 32 different countries across the world. So watch this to find out more. We began our worldschooling adventures in early 2016 when we realised there just had to be more to life than living a Groundhog Day type existence. Upon discovering the words location independence and worldschooling, life changed in ways we could never have dreamt. 4.5 years on, we've travelled to over 32 countries, completed more than 50 house sits for free accommodation, and had some incredible adventures along the way. From hiking the Great Wall of China and swimming with manta rays in Indonesia, to exploring a concentration camp in Germany and four-wheel driving in the desert sands of Egypt. Learning firsthand through experience and following our passions has allowed us to create a life that far exceeded our wildest expectations. We love helping others discover worldschooling, and this was the inspiration for Worldschooling Central. What is worldschooling like for our family? Let us tell you more. Hey everyone, I'm Karen King, creator of Worldschooling Central. I'm an Aussie, a mum, a wife, an entrepreneur, a world schooler. I have a 15-year-old son, Brody, a 9-year-old daughter, Sienna, and also my husband, and together we run Worldschooling Central. We've now been worldschooling for nearly 4.5 years. So we spent all of 2015 selling everything that we owned. We had a business, a house, and everything inside the house, cars, and you name it. So 2015 was a year of just selling everything. And then in early 2016, we hit the road, so to speak, and headed to Perth in Australia, first of all, then the United Arab Emirates, then through Europe, and beyond. And now we're sitting here in Panama. We started worldschooling because we just wanted more out of life. We had a great life, but we weren't enjoying ourselves. I kind of felt like something was missing. And so we actually went on a vacation. We took a 7-week trip, and during that time I discovered the phrase location independence, living and working from anywhere in the world. That then opened up into world schooling and teaching the kids through travel and through experience. So that then led to us selling everything we owned and leaving Australia in early 2016 to travel full time. To me, world schooling is learning through experience. So getting out of the classroom, traveling and learning from the world around you. Learning traditionally happens within the four walls of a school, but the reality is that we all learn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And honestly, I feel like school kind of squishes the desire to learn out of kids. So world schooling takes them out of the classroom into the real world, and they learn everything that they would learn at school through experience. And when you incorporate that with travel as well, the opportunity for learning and for growth is endless. Life before world schooling, we were living, I guess, what most people would call the Australian dream. We had, a beautiful house that we'd built. We had great jobs. We had a business, 2 cars. The kids were doing well, but we were unhappy. As we now refer to it, our Groundhog Day existence. We were working too hard. We were stressed. Not enough time with the kids, and just really, really unhappy. And so at that point we decided we needed to make some changes, and that's when we discovered worldschooling. Once we decided to start worldschooling, it was about a 12-month journey for us. I mean, we could have left sooner, but we had a lot of things that we had to do. So we had to sell our business first. We had to sell our house. We decided to kind of clear out everything. We put a whole bunch of stuff into storage, which we've then gotten rid of since then, and basically clear out everything that we had. And by early 2016, pretty much everything was gone. and then we headed off into the big wide world. When we first considered world schooling, we had so many questions. One of the big ones for me was really based around their education. I'd done 18 years at school, and so the idea of not having a formal education with curriculum and testing and everything else that comes with it, that was way outside of my comfort zone. So questions like, how will my daughter learn to read? She was only kindergarten age, and if she'd stayed in the mainstream schooling system, she would have started school the following year, and in that first year she would have learned how to read. So I was really nervous about, would I be able to teach her to read? Loads of other questions, just around, the costs and the logistics and how to really make it happen. But for me, I think the biggest focus was around their education. But having said all of that, I'm kind of the type of person that figures things out as she goes, so to speak. So I knew all of that would work itself out. As we got closer to launch date, I got pretty nervous, pretty scared that we were making a big mistake. But, we got there in the end, and honestly, it's been the most incredible 4.5 years, and it is absolutely, without a doubt, the best thing that we've ever done. I just wish we'd done it sooner. When we started World Schooling, friends and family were incredible. They were very supportive. I do remember being very nervous to tell my dad that we were selling everything and heading off, but he loves to travel as well, so he was very supportive. Same goes with the rest of the family. So we've been very fortunate, because I know a lot of families do struggle in this area. I think a lot of families wish that they could do it as well. And in a big way, that's why we started Worldschooling Central, because we want to show families that anybody can do this. We didn't have a lot of money. There was nothing special about us. We just made the decision that we wanted more from life, and that we weren't prepared to settle with our Groundhog Day existence, that we wanted to get out there and see the world and really live our lives in a way that you just can't do in a traditional type of lifestyle. We travel full time, so we've left Australia and just travel full time from place to place, typically a month in each location. And then about 12 months ago, we set up a base here in Panama. So we now have a place we can come back to, a lot closer to the rest of the world than Australia. And it's a place where we can come home, have some downtime, get some work done, and then we go out and travel. So probably 6 to 8 months of the year. But this is our home here in Panama. Learning for our kids is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is no set time or structure, to be completely honest. Everything we do is a learning opportunity. And we don't make a big song or dance about, hey, this is what we're learning. But everything we do turns into an opportunity to learn. So, just living life. My daughter learned to count going up and down subway stairs in Europe. We're living in Panama, so we're naturally having to learn Spanish. Cooking. My daughter loves to cook. It has included maths sheets. I didn't think that would be a part of our travels, but my daughter loves maths, and there's times where she likes to pretend she's at school, so she comes and asks us to write up sheets and sheets and sheets of math sums for her to do. For my son, who's a bit older, he really kind of follows his own passions. YouTube is a huge resource for us. And it's just about following whatever their interests are at the time. When we went to Berlin, as we prepared to get to Berlin, we watched some documentaries about Berlin, and that led to loads of different questions, even from myself. And that's something that really surprised me, is just how much I would learn from this experience. I knew the kids would learn a lot, but I didn't realize that I would benefit from world schooling as well. So our kids learn through experience. So instead of sitting down and reading out of a book, they learn from experience, from doing, from being, from touching and just being in a place and learning things firsthand, experiencing things. And as a result, it stays with them in a way that just doesn't at school. Our initial plans for educating the kids were very structured. I'd come out of 18 years of traditional schooling myself, so I was looking at curriculum, I was looking at, basically replicating school at home. And what I discovered was that just didn't work. It did nothing but cause arguments. And because we de-schooled for 6 months, during that time we discovered that the kids were learning just through experience. So initially I planned on more of a formal education, but that quickly went out the window. It took a long time for me to be comfortable with that. Everything in the back of my head was saying, oh, they should be doing testing, they should be, sitting down and doing more work. It took a long time for me to trust in their ability to learn naturally, but they do. And when I got to the point where I could relax and let that happen, it's just simply incredible what they learn naturally through their own experiments and their own experiences, just by following their own passions. Worldschooling for our family has changed quite a lot over the years. So when we first started, we gave our kids 6 months of what we call de-schooling, where we didn't do any formal education. So it was just about getting out and experiencing life. We learned pretty early that world schooling is not a vacation, it's living your life in another country. You get tired really quickly. If you tried to, vacation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you get really, really tired. So it was about figuring out how our lives fitted into this new life, so to speak. When we first started traveling, I was actually really nervous about being together 24/7. I was actually kind of scared that being together all the time would drive me crazy. And it was really interesting because it didn't at all. And within, I think it was 6, maybe even 12 months in, that I remember thinking one day, wow, like we've been together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's just been incredible. We do our own thing and we have our own space. We have down days where the kids will go off into their space and do whatever they want. I'll go off and do whatever I want. So we're not, even though we're physically together 24/7, we do have time to ourselves. And I think that's a vital part of the equation. But I tell you, just being and experiencing things together is absolutely amazing, and just something that you couldn't regret it, because it's just such valuable time together. I would say that the biggest benefits of world schooling are learning from experience, learning how to learn, having incredibly valuable time with your family in a way that you just cannot living an ordinary life back in, for us, Australia. The friends you meet, the experiences that you have, and above everything, I can say that every year, we're truly living. I got to the end of our very first year and I remember it was Christmas, we were in China house sitting, and I remember thinking, we'd been to something like 18 countries in that year, and it was the first time in a long time that I truly felt like we'd lived, like really lived, not just existed, but really lived our lives. And the amount of experiences and the stories and the memories and everything that we'd created in that 12 months, there was so much packed into that year. That to me is really living and making use of every single day that we had. But beyond that, it has just helped us grow as a family in a way that I didn't even know we needed to. I thought we had wonderful relationships, but what I've discovered is that we are all so much closer. You know, my husband and I had some trouble over, you know, during this period. But as a result of everything that we've done, we're in a better place today than I think we've ever been. I'm closer with both of my children than I could have ever hoped for. And I think that that is something that will stay with us throughout the rest of our lives. I feel like we've got this kind of base to go from now. And, you know, we can just kind of hang out together and be happy together. And we don't have to be doing loads of stuff together, but like we love being in each other's company, not all the time, but most of the time. You know, we've reached this point where it's just, you know, day-to-day life is so much more enjoyable, and just being together is, you know, we're a stronger family as a result of doing this. The biggest challenges for us has probably been the financial side of things, because like I said, we didn't set ourselves up before we left. We kind of jumped in and figured it out later, so to speak. So that's been an ongoing process. Beyond that, internet. Internet has caused us some dramas over the years. But you know what? Every challenge we've faced, there's always an answer. The answer just comes. And I think that is something that has happened in our world schooling lives, is that we've become very, very adaptable. And as a result of that, we just kind of go with the flow. And so if something comes up, then, you know, we figure it out. Not to say that we don't have our moments where, you know, we're somewhere and we're stressed and grumpy and all of those sorts of things. But on the whole, I would say I'm definitely more patient. And, you know, we just kind of go with the flow a lot more than we used to. World schooling isn't all happy families all the time. We argue. We get grumpy. I probably yell too much. But you know what? I did all of that back home in Australia as well. And I would much rather be doing that in Rome and, you know, Spain and the United Arab Emirates and Mexico and Panama and all these amazing places that we've visited. You know, we're still a family. We still have our ups and downs, but that's part of life. And we just happen to have chosen this way of life and get to have amazing adventures at the same time. One thing I didn't think, or I guess I didn't foresee when we started traveling, was how many amazing people we would meet along the way. You know, I kind of pictured this as the four of us traveling, moving from country to country. And it really didn't dawn on me just how many other people we'd connect with along the way. And in all honesty, I've made more friends in the last 4.5 years than probably my entire, you know, 40 odd years before that. So much so that we actually now run community trips, or, you know, group trips for world schooling families. We love connecting with other families. We love bringing people together. So in April of last year, 2019, we ran a trip through Indonesia, through the islands of Indonesia, for 39 people. And then in November of 2019, we ran another trip through Egypt. It was so surreal being in Egypt and standing in front of the pyramids. And what made it even more special was that we were able to do it as a community with a group of world schooling families. So if anybody has any concerns that they're going to be lonely on the road, please put that out of your mind, because there is a huge world schooling movement. And, you know, if you find that you need a little bit more interaction with other families, there's major hubs around the world where you can go and connect. And of course, trips like ours that you can take part in to create community for you and your family. One of the qualities I see in my kids now that I didn't anticipate is their ability to connect with people. One of the things that people always say is, oh, how do you socialize? You know, socialization. My kids are so incredibly well socialized, And it's because of world schooling. They're not in a classroom with, 25 or 30 other kids their own age. They're out in the world, living their lives, socializing with people of all different ages. So be that, a 2-year-old or a 90-year-old, both of them have the ability to communicate effectively. And we've had so many compliments from people about the way they hold a conversation. Adults that have said, I've never had a conversation with a 9-year-old like I just did with Sienna. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that I didn't see coming. It does challenge some adults who are not used to having conversations of that sort of level with a 9-year-old. But I'm so proud of who the kids are becoming, and I would never change this experience for anything in the world, given who they've become so far. I've seen so many changes in the kids since we started travel. I think the first thing that I saw in Brody was when we pulled him out of school. He'd finished grade 5, and what I didn't realise was that the education system had completely killed his natural love of learning. And we didn't leave school. We didn't take them out of school because we had any issues with school. We took them out because we wanted more out of life. But what I discovered was that suddenly learning had a negative connotation. And it took us a long time to get him back to a place where just that natural curiosity led him to learn without the negativity attached to it. So they're very confident people. They have this incredible ability to learn whatever they want. I'm not their teacher. My husband's not their teacher. They direct their own learning. We guide them. We help them. We help them find the tools to do what they want to do. But at the end of the day, all of their learning is self-directed, which is an incredible gift for them to have, and an incredible skill to have as they move into their lives. And, I think that this has given them the ability to just learn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no negativity associated with it. And when they want to know something, they just go and figure it out. They go and find out how to do it. So when we were living in Australia for a very basic lifestyle, we were spending $4,500 Australian dollars. So I guess that's about 3,000 US dollars. That was sort of bare basics. No sort of going out for dinner, really, no vacations, nothing like that. Since traveling, when we first started, the first couple of years, we were averaging 3,000 Australian dollars, so about 2,000 US dollars per month to World School full-time. So that included everything, all of our travel, all of our experiences, eating out. We house sat, which gave us essentially free accommodation. So World Schooling's actually been much cheaper than living an ordinary life at home in Australia. It's been so many different things across the years. I used to be really career orientated, and I put a lot of effort into my work, and I wanted promotions and all of those sorts of things. And in all honesty, today, it's just more about what do I have to do to have the money to keep traveling. So over the years, that's looked like so many different things. We've built courses. We've, done a bit of affiliate marketing. We've done remote jobs. So many different things. Really, it's just about making the decision that you want to do this and finding a way. So initially it was living off our savings. We left, we'd sold our house, and my husband got made redundant, so we had a payout from that. So we started traveling using that money, and the whole plan was that I'd build up an online business and that would fund our travels. Unfortunately, it didn't work as well as I'd hoped, and after a couple of years we ended up going back to Australia, and basically we just had to kind of settle down for a little while, although settling down, still included traveling up and down the east coast of Australia. So we just went back to basics and started a new business. So we actually joined an online marketing course, which taught us how to do marketing. And You know, that led to a job with them as, you know, coaches. So that kind of provided some additional money. Now we're working with a friend and their startup business. And of course building Worldschooling Central as well. So it's been a real mixture of things over the years, and I would recommend to anybody who's thinking about doing this, start investigating those methods now. Figure out how you're going to fund this now, because there has been periods where, you know, the bank accounts have gotten pretty low, and that causes stress that nobody is going to enjoy. So if you have ways to sort of, you know, set yourself up financially before you leave, that's great. But I'm a very impulsive person, so I kind of jump in and figure out how to make it happen later. But you know what, either way, you'll find a way. I wish that I had known that schooling can be incredibly detrimental to children. I didn't take the kids out of school. We didn't have an issue with the school system. We were very supportive. We were living an ordinary life to the best of our abilities, and the school system is what we knew, so we trusted that they were learning. Since leaving though, it's actually really scared me at the impact, the negative impact that schooling had, particularly on Brody, because he went up to grade 5. And that's not to say that the teachers weren't doing a great job, or, you know, that the kids he was connecting with weren't great in themselves, but it's the system that forces education on them, forces them to sit down and shut up and learn. You know, it's 9 a.m. so it's maths time. Well, you know what? My daughter's ideal learning time is 11:30 at night. That's when she's switched on. That's when things stick. So forcing children to learn, in my opinion, I've learned since starting to World School that forcing education on a child is not effective. And I'm quite passionate about that now, because when we took Brody out of school, I was heartbroken to see the impact, the negative impact that schooling had on him. He hated learning. The idea of learning, just, you know, he switched off, and that was really sad. That broke my heart. Now we just learn like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's not just the kids, it's the 4 of us. Everything we do is a learning opportunity, and that's not a bad thing. There's no negative connotation around learning, and I think that is a valuable experience and a valuable way to live. I also wish that I'd known about this about 10 years earlier. So if you're watching this right now and thinking, oh, should we do this? Just do it. Don't wait. I wish we'd known about this 10 years earlier, because life would have been very, very different. I feel like Europe's next for us. There's so many places in Europe that we've been to that we just absolutely loved, but there's so much more that we would love to see. So that's certainly high on the agenda. But also in 2021, we have a whole bunch of Worldschooling Central trips planned. So that will be a huge part of our future. Growing Worldschooling Central, helping people learn about this incredible way of life, supporting the community. I just feel so passionate about helping other world schooling families and helping people start world schooling. So that's a huge part of our future. And of course, travel. You know, we have a base now. So I guess you could say we're part-time world schoolers now, but we're full-time world schoolers in the sense that we live in a different country, so every day is an experience. You know, just trying to go to the supermarket or try and, you know, pay a bill, all of that is an experience. So we're full-time world schoolers in that sense. But now we have a base, so we can come home, we can have some space, we can get some more work done, and then we can go off into the world and enjoy our next adventures. People can find us at worldschoolingcentral.com. Also on Facebook, do a search for Worldschooling Central, and come join us. Like, we'd love to have you in the community, ask questions, connect with other world schooling families, join one of our Worldschooling Central travel trips. It's a great way to learn and find out more about world schooling, even if you're in that early sort of discovery stage where you like the sound of it, but you're not 100% sure. So many families that have come on our trips have been in that sort of stage, and by the end of their trip, they're ready to sell up and leave full time. So yeah, connect with us. We would love to connect with you, help in any way, answer your questions. So you'll find us on Facebook and on our website. To anybody who is considering this way of life, just do it. And I'm sure that's what everybody else in this video series is going to say to you. But here's the thing, if you go and do 6 or 12 months of travel and you don't like it, you can go back to your ordinary life. But what if you do like it? What if you do have a life-changing experience? What if you have a connection with your kids that you've never had before? What if you learn in ways that you've never learned before? In my experience, you know, this isn't the right thing for everybody, but in my experience, I've not met a family that regrets trying. And as I said, if it's not for you, just go back. You can get a job again, you can get a house, you can get a car and all of that sort of stuff. But for us, I have absolutely no intention of ever going back, because life is 100,000 times better than it ever was before. So just do it. To learn more about world schooling, check out our other Q&A videos. Subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications every time we upload a new video. Also, come check out www.worldschoolingcentral.com.